Well, good morning, and Beef and Barnzy is back after a Thursday off with travel and playoffs and league and all the other stuff that was going on. On this, I guess it would be a Tuesday morning, and as always, I'm Barnzy, joined by internet personality, PBA star, Weber Cup winner, and soon-to-be 10-time participant, the talent and the brains behind the operation, Beef Stu. How are you?
Pretty good. I had a pardon me. I had a pretty average weekend bowling. But we're not going to dwell on that. We've got lots of PBA fun to chat about. So yeah, since we were last on, we've had the completion.
There is a huge fundraising deadline coming up.
We've had the completion of the PBA League. Congratulations to Lumberjacks. We've had 3 PBA shows. It's been quite the roller coaster.
There's been a few things going on, and it's been all right. It's been all right. There's been something to do, and that hurts anything. So had some shows on last night. That was that one wasn't maybe the most exciting of the 3, but some drama nonetheless, and some great performances. So let me see what we got. All right, guys coming in this morning. Got a few in here already, but I thought we'd probably start off, like you said, we can start off with the PBA League and kind of recap what happened there and the ups and the downs and the good and the bad. My team only had bad, so we'll skip that part. Your team, on the other hand, did shoot 540 the very first set, and what's happened a lot, it seemed like, is that the lanes played fairly different from match to match, and they were rerun each time, so it wasn't, in theory they were very close, but that it seemed like the right lane was much tighter at the beginning of the team things, and by the end, and now the shows of the other, it's become very obvious that the left lane is much tighter down lane than the right lane is. And yeah, you guys got caught in the crossfire there and had a 200-pin swing between match 1 and match 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen it a few times with the PBA League. The first match that goes out, we were the very first match of the whole thing, and there was no practice sessions over on that pair. That might be something that they look at in the future, or maybe not, depending. And yeah, I mean, for us, the right lane, it was skid, then hook. Like it was just easier than the left lane. And then when we came back for our second match, the front part of the lane was so much flatter. Like there was so much less push to the spot. Our guys who were using stronger balls, yeah, I think they just had balls that were a little bit too strong. They kind of got to the spot and burnt up, or they weren't responsive enough off the spot, and we ended up with a lot of 10 pins again. And then we kind of shot ourselves in the foot as a team. We missed a couple of single pins.
And stayed from there.
Then we had a bad break. Then, we threw some bad shots. And yeah, all in all, we didn't cover ourselves in glory. That would be more than fair to say. Neither did Timmy's team really, but when the other team is, running a 45-minute mile, running a 20-minute mile's plenty. You don't have to be Roger Bannister to finish that one off. So yeah, they progressed against us. We basically gave them a freebie there, and I think it actually helped them out because they got to get a little bit more comfortable. They kind of got through that first match jitters, because it's always a bit weird, that first match, even if you've got the bye. And then they went on from there. I mean, I felt like the stars of their team were actually the 2 guys they drafted, Packy and Martin, especially Martin, the final. I mean, I feel a little bit like the no disrespect to Wes, but that the MVP award became the Anchorman award, a bit like it is the quarterback award for the MVP of the NFL. Because no way that West was more valuable to their team than Martin was. Just no way. They weren't involved in any roll-offs. They only had one game go to the 10th frame, which West got a strike, but he didn't close the match out. And Martin threw more strikes than he did on less opportunities. Like it made
right.
It made
Yeah,
no sense.
I thought that was an odd choice. I thought, and as obviously I have a ton of respect for West, but I thought he was probably fourth on that team for the. They said the MVPs were the unexpected, huge contributions out of Martin bowling first, and you could probably make the same argument for our team in the past, where Jesper struck basically every shot, and.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's different if it's a bunch of roll-offs and stuff, because then those strikes are just way more valuable than they are at the start of the game.
Right, Richie got us through some spots and threw some big shots in 10 frames, and that's kind of dramatic moments is where it makes those MVP things. So
but they just beat everybody. They didn't really have magic moments. Like even in the final, I think the 3 games they won, they averaged like 270.
Yeah,
like But I don't think we should let Big Mike and Brooklyn Rob off here. I quote an F. I mean, that's what they gave them. They gave them an F for the Las Vegas High Rollers. Now, me and you, we weren't on the A train.
No.
But an F.
The F was strong.
And I would argue that they were actually the best team there. During the thing, they had consistently high scores every match. And if anything, I mean, Frankie, after the first couple of matches, was probably the guy in their team who struggled the most.
Show favorite AAJJ was really big for them.
Entertaining.
Huh?
Entertaining in the leadoff spot.
He was, it's not a high energy team necessarily, but he sure brought it out of a few guys, including your boy Richie Teese.
Yeah. Richie had the hip thrust. He had a couple of yells at his boys.
He became Ray Lewis halfway through that.
I agree. All he needed to do was the Ray dance.
Nobody wanted to see that.
No. The one thing I thought, because we played early, pretty much our 2 matches, we were the first match on.
Yeah.
So I watched a couple of the shows in a bar by our hotel. So we didn't have the sound on, but we did have the visuals. And I thought that the PBA League visual was fantastic. Like, I didn't really notice there wasn't a crowd in that regard I mean, obviously you don't hear the sounds, but then because the player came off the approach and went to his team, there was a visual that you could use that was reasonable. In the singles events, it's a little harder because the guy walks back and he sits down in his chair. So there isn't really anything going on. So a lot of those times you'll see that they cut to the crowd. In the team event, the other guy was ready to go pretty much after, you came back and you did your rah-rah or whatever with your team, and they could pick up on the conversation, like, hey, I thought this one's starting to hook a bit more or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time Randy had made a comment about that, the next guy was up. So the pace of play, the way it all went, I felt like it worked really, really well. It was another time that I was more than happy to be wrong, because I felt like bowling the team was going to be the worst scenario without the crowd.
Right.
I actually found, from a viewer point of view, for my viewing anyway, that the team actually looked better by itself than the individual tournaments do by themselves. So that was.
I would agree. I thought actually all of those guys on there, and I thought the background noise was better too. Kind of it was a little artificial, but I did think that they at least got it in there, and I thought it was better than where I didn't hear hardly any noise for the singles shows, and I thought they needed it way more than the team, because you had all the mic'd up things, you had talk going back and forth. For those of you both in college, there was a lot of reminiscent a lot of reminiscing about how and what conversations happen and things you don't normally hear between PBA guys. And you could tell the guys who had bowled team stuff together or were familiar with each other and the teams that weren't. And there was a lot less chatter.
Somebody asked me about I guess it might have gone. Somebody asked about, oh, here it is. Did the guy from the High Rollers get penalized for the F-bomb on TV? We don't know. We're going to be like the PGA Tour. You just get a note in your locker.
That might be how it is. And I've seen a few threads and they ask if, you get fined, and yeah, you can be fined anywhere from 100 to 500, depending on the transgression and the perception of the transgression. So there's things in there that, but that doesn't necessarily mean, we've had ownership that kind of welcomed a little bit of controversy and something like that. And we've had ones that certainly were much more conservative and had no interest in hearing any of that. So I don't know. It seems like the Bolero group is much more quiet about how they handle those things, and they handle them privately. And so I doubt we'll ever find out.
The one thing the one difference, is FS1 is a little bit more risque than ESPN is, for one. And for two, a lot of the other shows that we had were Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. These shows were all 7, 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock even. So maybe some of that plays into it as well. Yeah. I'm sure that it'll be more of an issue if someone swears on Big Fox this weekend for the PBA playoffs than it is on FS1.
And it is true. There's different rules for cable versus national network TV. And so I don't know if that's a big deal. What was it like facing the women's team? It was, I'm not a big guy about, obviously I know what women are capable of between being married to a Hall of Famer, being beat by another one for the TOC. I am not one to overestimate what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. I know the talents and the skill sets they bring. So I knew if we didn't bring our game, and we did not, and that's no disrespect to Chris Vi and AJ Chapman, who were fantastic. They were not the problem. And Doherty was, his usual. He threw 3 out of 4 strikes. He's like clockwork.
Yeah,
always does, and gave us a chance. And really, Jesper struggled a little, and I struggled more. I just left stuff I could make, and you got put it. We just didn't get it done. We didn't have as much out of the 1 and 5 as we've had in our good years, and lots of times that makes a difference in a close match. It's a pretty good segue.
We can
talk about more of the team first.
No, we can go in that direction, or we can go in the individual tournaments. We
got a little bit to go first. We will get to the playoffs. You are right. We have a format here, shockingly enough, and I'm just skipping around like I want. So
I think we've covered most of the bases that I had for the PBA League. I think Rash was super clutch, which is not historically always been his moniker. He basically carried that team through a couple of matches and play and some roll-offs. Not carried them. That's probably unfair because their team did bowl well, but he was big in big moments. And I think he won 2 roll-offs.
He won 2 roll-offs. That's pretty huge.
And then the one that he actually didn't get done. He threw 2 great shots. Him and Wes both did the same thing. They both threw a great shot stroke, threw another really good shot in ring 10.
Right.
So, them's the breaks, I guess. It almost felt like it was slightly more painful for Sean to ring 10 because of how much straight he was going.
Mm-hmm.
A little harder to ring 10 than it is for Wes.
We saw a lot of guys, especially on the left lane. There was a ton of ring 10s on that left lane.
So that's not to take away from Wes's shot. I'm just saying that
Right.
in that angle, it's almost more unlikely to ring 10 for Sean. How will Storm's purchase of my 900 global effect Barnes? I guess they'll let us know.
Yeah, it's still pretty early in the game. We got playoffs left. We got some stuff, and then basically everybody in the industry, their contracts are up at the first of the year, and so that's if there's changes to be made, we'll find out probably around then. Ten for 12 here.
He was on Rash's team.
Oh, you bowled this year. Sorry, Richie. I didn't.
Oh dear.
I thought you were busy watching your Specto. So it's pretty stunning to see somebody with 250 rev rate throw it down there with that typical house bowler rev rate, just strike that much. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, he had the Russian conspiracy, and he paid him off.
To be fair, Stu was talking about it beforehand that if you were 10 for 12 last year, you'd probably still be on the LAX. So
it's funny. Richie actually said to me, he goes, "Man, if only I struck that much for you guys last year." And I said, we would have finished in exactly the same position as we finished.
Yeah, actually, the way that last match went, he'd had a lot of strikes by himself.
Yeah, well, Bobo struck, and nobody else threw a strike. I went into the final 8 for 8, and I came out 500 for the tournament.
Good question. You said were the PBA playoffs going to be
live stream? I think that some of it's live. I guess as were somewhat the advertising wing for the PBA. I should probably try and see if I can find a schedule.
I believe there's same as last year. There's some early rounds that are live, and then you're going to tape, and then the finals, I believe, are live. The final four
is they're coming back again at a later date.
This did come up a couple of times. Del Ballard he had surgery, and so he was the manager of the team, the Motown Muscle, and I don't know who or how the decision got made within that team.
EJ was the manager.
Okay, and EJ called his own number, and I admire his confidence. I did not love his reaction on that left lane, and I also probably would have went with Simo, although you got 2 of the top 5 guys on tour, so there's not a real bad choice there. But given his last 2 shots, one went high, one went light, I probably let Simo have the ball first that time.
Neither of them lack confidence, that's for sure.
No, they're not. They'll get up and throw the shot. It hasn't worked out well for EJ lately, but there you go.
Do you know what, Paul? No, we're terrible. I haven't figured out a solution for it all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Cheetah.
Okay.
So that had Packy Hanrahan on it, fresh off his win. I felt like Packy made me smirk a little bit through it because he gave it the double teapot, the hands on the hips, and then he gave it the couch shrug, and then he said the word that every right-hander loves. How does that not hook? Spoiler alert, Packy. Transition.
And this is not incorrect either necessarily. EJ's reaction on the left lane left a little bit to be desired on the Cheetah show also. And that's where some of those urethane-ish balls don't look quite so good when there's oil down lane. They get a little more sensitive than the balls that are more urethane, I guess would maybe the way to put it. So,
Yeah, be careful what you say. Dick Allen's still listening. Dick's
Oh,
still listening. So
I love it when Richie listens. Any comment he puts up will come up on the board. It's been entertaining listening to him convince the world that half his rev rate is the same as
Zeke.
as Bates. So
then of course you had EJ, you had Rash, and I'm really struggling to remember who. Oh, Darren Tang, of course. Yeah, Darren made 2 of the 4 shows. So Rash was the only player who used reactive. Darren was in the pitch black, of course. EJ used the tank blitz and the desert tank, I think it's called. I think he used the desert tank to qualify.
Yeah, red one. Yeah.
And then he changed the red one. As I was tweeting while watching it, I was saying that often in those situations, the guy who can take the bull by the horns and get to reactive first often has an advantage, because
I thought that was the best tweet I saw of the night, because I think it's something that gets underestimated and doesn't get talked about a lot. And once that transition happens, when you're slow to get out of it, you get the penalty for staying in urethane too long is pretty big, because it just won't hit the pocket anymore unless you have a pretty big skill set with speed and what have you. Yeah, it was. I thought that was, and Sean was in it the whole time, so it wasn't a magic move to get to it. But being the first guy, if you can survive the early part when urethane is often way better, the payoff is on the backside.
I mean, that's kind of the tactical advantage of that first round. Like, after the first few frames, and you realize you're not going to be the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed's nice, but it's not really like life-changing. If you're talking about winning the tournament, you want to be 1 or 3 or 4. Like, 2, to me, just it isn't that big of an advantage.
I think it depends. If you're using urethane, I think it can be an advantage to be towards the top, because that urethane transition, the longer it's on the lane, it's hard for it to last for 3 games in an hour and a half on a TV show. Messenger 2-pin.
Yeah, well,
at 275, those aren't messengers, Richie. So
Rash got the he was just talking about Rash getting the 2-pin back that Dick rolled against him to beat him. Yeah, Sean said he had his message, and he said, step through that door. My version of that was, well, technically you tripped through that door, but
he did also preface it with, I don't care how it happened, it did.
Yeah, and
15 World Series shows in.
Yeah,
he shouldn't even had to walk. He could have barrel rolled through one of them at some point. And so the fact he actually bowled pretty good, and EJ just struggled. That left lane was a mess for him. It sounded like he really needed to get it all the way to it, or it just wouldn't hook at all. And that's what happened twice. The fact that EJ made the washout, he made the 210. I mean, he scrambled and pieced together a pretty good game for not really having great ball reaction. And that was a world-class game where you've seen some guys steal a title for, and really if Sean 210's there, he only needed a spare, so it wasn't a huge, I mean, the 2-pin helped and locked it up, but the spare would have.
Well, yeah, if he 210'd, he was still fine. It was just if he 2-8-10'd was the only issue.
True. It wasn't quite the same break as Richie's, but
it was actually, when Sean let go of that, I was like, oh no, because it was very reminiscent of actually the TOC.
Yeah.
When EJ won sitting on the bench, he just stayed around and he couldn't quite get the double. There we go.
That's what 18 and fit looks like. Won't see much of that on this show.
And then Tommy had that, the bad shot, and then Rash threw it, and I'm like, oh no, hook.
Yeah. And again, that's kind of what happens when you get to urethane. If you get a lane that gets a little tight, you get some early hook, you can really get tricked up.
So I do have one quick question. Being as this is the second time that Sean's won this year, and it's actually the second time he's won on a short pattern, using an Ordnance Pearl, Are you thinking about reevaluating your ball choices?
I'm telling you, he has gone so far against what is conventional wisdom now on short patterns that. But I think it goes right to your point. The urethane creates the carry down, which then creates a long pattern, and the shinier ball lets him stay close to it and actually, use the hook and use the hold. And his angles end up better if he can make it to that point. And he is by far one of the best at tumbling it.
No, he's
especially here. Not so much here or here, but here.
Yeah.
No,
what you're saying, I tweeted about
balls online better than a lot of guys too.
He's I would say he's probably the best. If he's not the best, I don't know who's better at throwing the reactive balls and trusting them way to one.
Yeah.
Like he has no fear with it. Like Dino has a bit of a fun praise, and it's really for Wolf. But now Cheetah's 33 feet. I guess it's the same thing. When you let go of it, if your bum doesn't pucker or if your ass doesn't pucker, you didn't throw it far enough right.
Fair enough.
And there's been plenty of times I've bowled on Wolf where I've thought that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, the game against, was it EJ? And he had 6 shots. The first 6 shots I watched him throw, he went 2-8, 2-8, 2-8, gutter, and he had 2 strikes. Now, like, it wasn't exactly lining up to be, wow, just put a number on him. And then he bowled great after that. He got settled in. So let's move on to the Chameleon.
Yeah.
And I thought there was way more storylines in this one. I thought you had a lot of star power on this show also. And in the storyline being Brad Miller overcoming nerves and a pretty forgettable first go around on the doubles show to really, I mean, that was a great performance by him.
Yeah, I think Brad, I think that show, I mean, it's going to sound like hyperbole, but I really think that show was a big, big change in Brad's career. I think if Simo had struck and Brad had a very poor qualifying round, and then he threw some good shots at the end of that first game against Simo, but you never really remember those when you lose.
Right.
Like if
you lost the first round, this whole thing is just another dog pile.
Yeah. You just remember, oh man, I missed that spare, or oh man, what was I thinking? Or oh Jesus, why did I do this? But he got up and he forced Simo to strike. Simo threw another good shot like he pretty much always does, and he 9-pinned. Now, I've seen that movie with two-handers before, and about 60 times or 70 times out of 100, some miracle pin rolls across the deck, touches the 9-pin, and it falls back into the pit. But it didn't.
Right.
So EJ comes out, and EJ's playing about 6 right of Brad, and he's using that same tank blitz that he used. I mean, it might have been a different one, but it was the tank blitz. And he's keeping it dead in front of him. And Brad is now using a pin down high road pearl on the right lane and a pitch black on the left lane. Now, I don't know how much you guys who are watching kind of know about the balls, but literally, if we did a chart, like the pitch black would be in one corner and the high road pearl would be in like almost completely the opposite corner. Like, it's just, it reminds me of one time I bowled on a short pattern at the World Championships, and Chris came in and he said, I don't know what happened to you to make you think that that's a good idea. And that almost felt like it did with Brad. Like, how have you got to the point where you're using the pitch black on one lane and he was almost throwing the same shape? That was the thing that was amazing. Like, he was curving the pitch black. So, and I'm like, oh, Brad's going to get murdered in this game. And then EJ might have thrown the best 5 shots or 6 shots I've ever seen him throw on TV. Like, he came out and he just nailed the first 5 or 6 shots. Like, if you go back and watch that, the Specto, it was like Specto was broken because they had the ideal line and EJ's line, and it was like 0.1 out. It was like dead labeled every shot. And then Brad had the front six too. And it was just like, we're watching. I'm like, did they re-oil the lanes? Like, did they just did they tell them, hey, you can throw it 5 right and it'll come back? And they were just super relaxed. Because it was like the best bowling of by far and away the best match, best bowled match, most exciting match of all of the matches on the animal patterns.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And then EJ posted 247, I believe. And Brad needed, there you go. Specto isn't broken. Hashtag 425. And then Brad needed 19 in the 10th, and he went up and he 10-pinned. He took care of I believe he 10-pinned. He took care of the spare. He dusted himself off, and then he threw a great shot. He tripped the 4-pin, did a dance, and yeah, I mean,
those kind of moments there can change it changes your career. Now the next time he's up, he has something to draw on. I can do this. He doesn't have any of the outside things in his ear or any of those perceptions. And, I think despite the fact the title match didn't go the way he wanted, Belmo's still Belmo, and Belmo bowled a great game, and Brad bowled way more of the game that you thought was coming in match 2. It didn't.
Yeah, he really struggled. And then at the end, he got up with a fantastic finish in the 9th and 10th.
Did it again.
And he
forced the game and
made
made him show up. And that's all you can do.
I mean, and it more than forced him to show up. Did Belmo only need a spare or did he need a strike? I think he only needed a spare, actually.
He needed, I think, 18 or 19.
But I mean,
he had to throw it good. He couldn't just throw it anywhere and whatever. Yeah. And he threw the first one flush and it was done. So he might only needed a mark.
Yeah. Just a real quick thing. We were talking about this off air. I think that Belmo's confidence in himself to step up in the 10th frame after the match was done was rewarded because the right lane on all of the shows was easier.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the guys don't want to have to stand up when the match is done to throw a shot in the 10th frame. Or when it's set, so to speak. They don't want to finish last.
They don't want all the heat on them to throw the shot to win.
So they're putting themselves in a position by bowling on the left lane, and I'm not judging them. They
know yourself.
You've got to know yourself, like you say. But Belmo decided he wanted the easier lane, and rightly so. The last 10 years, he's certainly not afraid to throw a strike when he needs one. And I
think there was a point in his career where he might have opted for the other lane.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us have been through strings where you go, I'm on a bad run here. I need to finish first and put it on the other guy. But by and large, this was one of those shows when you bowl enough. It's easy to second guess when it's the only time you bowl in the pair, and you go, well, I think the left lane is easier. And then you get about the 5th frame, you go, oh crap, I picked the wrong lane. Mm-hmm. But this one, it had gotten fairly obvious that the left lane was the trickier of the two, and how many people stayed away from that lane to finish. I think that's it tells you a little bit about where guys are at, and when you get guys bowling for the first title, lots of times that's the best play is to finish first and put it on the other guy.
I did think it was funny that they showed a throwback to Belmo. Belmo won the Chameleon at I think it was 2011.
Yeah.
And I said, look, back in the day when Belmo threw reactive on Chameleon. So Belmo has now won Chameleon 3 times, I believe, and a second.
Yeah, I think the only person close is PA but that was a different version of that pattern. But
well, I was about to say, my boy Jesper still has the all-time average lead on Chameleon at almost 240 for his life at the World Series. So yeah,
change of venue did not help them. This place I'm pretty sure it's crowned outside of the second arrow, meaning it slopes out, and depressed in the middle so that it hooks in. And so it makes some of those in-between patterns very tricky. So.
Frank's telling me he threw reactive last year. Okay. Didn't in the matches, I don't think. But if you say
Fair
so.
enough.
But yeah, so it does seem like a lot of people that it seems like the narrative is that we're really worried when Belmo is left. Like everybody's like, oh man, it's impossible, to follow Belmo. Au contraire. It is much more of a problem to follow Belmo when he's using the pitch black.
Because most of the time, with the exception of very, very few, he's playing the same line as who he's bowling against. He's getting actually the shape. So he's making the front hook, the back tighter, and then he can go around it if he wants to. And most of us probably can't.
Yeah, once he figured out at the Masters that, well, I can beat these guys, but I could really, really like break their soul if I just do it with the pitch black. The only person who that trick doesn't seem to work against is Machuga. Because Machuga takes that blue hammer and he can hook the crap out of that thing.
Yeah.
And that seems to be about the only person that it doesn't really, like, they always end up having, I think they've played twice now, and both times Machuga's been like really close. I think they might be 1-1. I'm not 100% sure on.
Yeah, one of them was a really low scoring match and the other one was not as much. But yeah, I mean, Machuga has as many tools as really about anybody on tour. That is probably a little bit unfulfilling for as much as your swing's that straight, footwork's that good, and that many tools to access. Combine that with Robert Smith's body, and that might, there wasn't a whole lot of holes in there to fill.
So, Dusty says, hashtag the house ended up having a great showing through all of these shows.
Not enough to buy and make it a mansion.
Did I'm lost. Is Carson part of the house? Is Sean?
Yeah, I mean, they had some people on, but
no, they had fantastic in the match play.
Yeah,
they were great in the match play.
If you have 1/3 of the top 32, you probably should get a few guys on the show from time to time.
I'm just happy that like Sherman and D-Tang, they chirp it up at me.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, me and my LAX boys have sent them packing. Maybe next time you'll get to a roll-off.
Oof.
Prather can say the same back to me. Maybe next time we'll get to a roll-off with Prather. Because we've been absolutely smashed by Prather the last 2 years in the PBA League.
Yeah.
So it's all fun and games.
Yeah, I hear there's very little, as far as we know, that's a rec center, basically. No league bowling in that place at all. 15-year-old armor plate. It plays very tight down lane, and it appears there's more friction in the front than we think there is.
Yeah, the gutter doesn't peel very much.
And the gutters don't at all. It looks like early pro-am bowling installations where they really screw it down the outside, and so it's a little tricky.
Basically, the TV pair might be, or the two lanes that use it for TV might be two of the easier lanes that we bowled on in the bowling center. Especially
I'm going to have to decline based off my 4 shots of experience. And
I'm just saying, there was some pretty low scores on Chameleon when we bowled the matches. See me and Chris by.
So this is something about two-handers, and they can handle more on the drier lane, which makes two-handers maybe having high advantage if they're very accurate. Yeah, if you have the most power and the most accuracy, yes, you do have an advantage on everything.
Although I think they have less advantage than Bryson DeChambeau has in golf at the minute.
At the moment, I believe it's a little tighter. But yeah, power and yeah, I mean, when patterns get this tight down lane, it does that negated a little bit of that advantage, I think, here. But by and large, still power is never too much of a disadvantage.
I'm sure if you want to bowl for 100K, Prater will shoot up with you. Sure.
Probably.
Bet he won't shoot up with his own 100K.
All right, let's get to this last Scorpion real quick. And this is not it's the most thrilling of the shows, unfortunately. I thought we had some potential for some great things to happen, and not much of them.
It had like the least star power, I would say, without being close to being rude. Jacob was the only multi-titleist. BJ and Carson both had one title each. Darren, of course, didn't have a title.
That being said, a ton of talent, but yeah,
100%.
But not a ton of shows or titles there. But Tang looked like the urethane thing. The early hook kind of doomed him. Super long pattern. You're not going to have a really hard time going away from it at any point.
I think his problem was they opened up a little bit more. If they'd have stayed really miserable to the right, I think BJ did a good job of like burning to the right, and it opened them up. And that was also Tang's doom, because when he bowled in the bowling center, he had that keeping it dead in front of him, and when everybody else got it slightly to the right and it didn't hook,
right,
then he was in a big advantage. And the fact that he can still make that ball crack the 10 out is
yeah, it's always tough to go from that to a reactive ball. And so when he threw it at the end of the second match, and that one wasn't the right ball for him anyway. It got him too far away from the shape that had been created. So when he had to go away from the pocket, especially on that, looked like that left lane was still awfully tight down lane, and so awfully hard to get it through the front and then get it to shape at all down lane. And even everybody was having problems getting shape on the left lane. That was BJ's ultimate downfall, is he kept switching balls trying to get something that would hook on that left lane down lane, and really probably what he need to do is throw it about a mile and a half slower on that lane than the other lane, and would have given him a chance maybe, but they were still pretty flat, so maybe not. Easy to second guess from my couch.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, that's the fun of Twitter. I can second guess all these guys.
Yeah.
Hey Darren, you moved too far left.
Yeah.
Hey Stu, you missed the head pin every shot you bowled your match.
I'm rarely wrong from my couch.
Hey Darren, I've got 10,000 Twitter followers. You got 600. I'm going to win this argument. Then we had, Jacob. I think the best thing Jacob did of the whole show was rip his mask off and take out both his earrings. Definitely a show for Jacob to forget. I felt quite bad for Jacob, because when they bowled the matches, Jacob had the best reaction of all of the guys. Like, he was able to curve it, and then he got to that pair, and it looked like his ball just burnt up so bad. Like, and Jacob, it sounds ridiculous, but Jacob throwing reactive looks like me throwing urethane. When he makes a ball change, it's a guess. He isn't making logical changes. He's just going, I'll try this one, because he just doesn't have enough data to know which one's going to do which, because he doesn't use reactive that much. So it's a credit to Jacob, and he's going to get clubbed by all these people like, oh, look what happens when he uses reactive. Well, he made the show using reactive. Like, maybe people need to back up off him a little bit. Like, he's all of about 26. It's okay for him to allowed to look lost a couple of times on a show. But yeah, he got very frustrated, because I just think it's the worst thing. It's embarrassing when you're sitting there and you just don't know what it's going to do. So you go up and you feel uncomfortable, because you almost don't know what your reaction should be, because you throw it and you're like, is that one got a chance? Oh no, I missed the head pin. And then you walk back, and then the next one you think, okay, I'm going to crack on this one and make sure it hits the head pin. And then it goes straight through the face. You just get so out of, away from your comfort zone.
Well, once he got one to hang on the gutter too, he just wouldn't throw it over there. he was so far away from his ideal line.
Yeah.
A lot.
Mhm.
He was missing 3, 4, 5 boards inside of his ideal line where he's getting it to 4, 5, 6, and he just couldn't get it past 10. I mean, it just so this thing scaring.
Yeah, he took care of the regional in the East.
Let's be fair that's about an 80% clip this summer. So
It was 100%.
All four of them won by left-handers again this weekend.
Just a quick shout out to Eric Jones.
That was dominating. Holy crap.
Yeah, I bowled with him on Saturday. I told Anthony that there was a good chance that kid was going to take him down because I think he missed the pocket all of about 7 times in the 8 games I bowled with him.
The report back to me was there was some kid wearing a Teen Masters class of 2023 shirt that was lapping the field.
Yeah. I was bowling with him and I saw that class of 2023 and the kid's about 6'2", and I went, holy shit, that means he's 15.
Yeah.
And then I started to think, nah, maybe they go up to 21 or something. So I asked him after, I was like, how old are you? And he goes, 15. I was like, sweet.
Yeah. Like Andrew Nair and Malat's kid, they're giant people.
So, just really quick. I thought Carson looked like a veteran in the final. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He hit the pocket almost all his frames. He didn't get out of his he stayed in his bubble, so to speak. He had the one bad shot in the 10th frame when he got a little excited and he got a little jittery. I mean, he came up with some excuse about moving and trying to make it strike or whatever. It's okay, dude.
You're not the first guy.
That's what's supposed to happen. You got a little amped up, you gassed it a little, you got it a little right, and you got a good break. It's okay.
Yeah.
He left the 1-2, and then he threw a really good shot in stone 8.
Right. The money ball was great because the spare was also a little bit shaky. It would have been really easy for that next one to get going left and way left. He wouldn't be the first guy to do that either. And the shot to win was fantastic.
Here is BJ's burner account.
Yeah, there was no World Show this year. Just times and things didn't allow that. One critique, I thought there was more crowd noise piped in for the team shows, and I'm not sure he needed as much there, but it was appreciated. And I thought there was a lot less for these pattern shows, and especially in that last one, you had 4 pretty low key guys. I thought, Stu, you had a pretty interesting observation.
I just like you're talking about the team shows and why they were better.
Well, I thought in the individuals and specifically Darren Tang, there wasn't a lot of, not as much charisma and
no. I mean, like I say, when the lanes are hard and the guys haven't been on there very often, they tend to be a little quieter, and they're just it's just hard.
Stu doesn't want to say it off air. He said it just proved that even the virtual fans don't want to cheer for Darren Tang.
I actually forgot that was the line.
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, there you go. Sorry, Darren.
There was an error
on your side. When Brad made it, they could have done, like the NFL where they have the fans. They could have done a video wall of Brad's YouTube. They could have gone live on YouTube or whatever, and they could have had all Brad's fans cheering. Now they'd have had some noise.
Yeah. Can we talk more about the debate there? Oh, sorry.
It was my fault. We have no idea.
We don't know about January until things get settled down and states move forward and are open and all that. I don't think there's any realistic way to expect the PBA to put a schedule together. So I would assume it would be probably at least February before we can get started. That's probably, that is only my opinion. I have no knowledge of that, and that is purely a guess.
Okay, let's quickly. Well, I think we're going to do a bit more of this on Thursday.
Oh no, let's see.
Are they the latest results from Moscow?
Yes, these are. Well, I don't know if this is CNN or Fox. I can't. I'm not here to pick sides.
Oh, if THB is second, it's probably more like MSNBC.
It could be. It could.
He's likely to wear a Fox patch, Fox News patch. So quickly, I looked at the points from what they showed on TV. I came up with my list for the first round. Chris actually got an email from the PBA, so this is actually wrong by one match. This match here, Brad and Darren, according to the list of the PBA sent, are flipped.
Yeah, I think that Nick Pate and Darren Tang bowl each other, and Brad Miller bowls Doherty in the first match.
Yeah. The PBA sent me a curveball because they had Jacob's points all in, but on the list that they sent out, Darren actually had no points. And then they added, because this number was what I thought Darren should have got to, but they didn't have any points in. So he actually got to, I think it's 11,900, something like that. So whatever. It's close enough.
Yeah, I mean the super ones that stand out is that Frankie, as the number 9 seed, is the unluckiest of the losers for sure. He misses out on the first round bye. He gets Norm Duke as his reward for being the high seed in the 9 through 24 range, which then means if he wins, he would bowl Sean Rash in the next round. If he wins that, he's very likely going to bowl Belmo in the match after that, and then could possibly, if he somehow makes it through that, get the winner of Simonson and Prather. Congratulations, Frankie, on your 9th place finish this year.
I think that the obvious matches that stick out from our show, because it's our show, is Smallwood Barnes.
Yeah. The winner getting EJ. So.
Yeah, and then being as he's on, the battle of the bald bastards. Dom versus Dick Allen.
The winner gets Simo.
I was about to say, first one to get a hair in the middle of their head wins. Then the match that's probably going to be most watched by ladies, especially if they painted their names on their back and didn't wear shirts. Marshall versus Chris Vi. They both did that push-up challenge and made it look significantly easier than most of the rest of the bowling community. I mean, Darren was pretty good as well. I have to give him that. So, yeah. The winner of Miller Doherty gets who?
They get Jesper.
Jesper.
Yeah, Miller Doherty gets Jesper. Dom and Richie get Simo. Jacob will bowl Tommy Jones, and the winner will get Belmo. And then the guy most likely to be jealous of Vi and Marshall bowling without their shirt on, AAJJ, he bowls Sherman, and the winner of that will get O'Neill. Smallwood and I get EJ, and then Nick Pate and Darren Tang, the house matchup, and the winner will get the Fro. Awaits them. So. And I probably missed a match or two, but that's as I was writing them down. 2, 3,
yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's all the matches, with Frankie and Duke being, I would say, is probably the headline match of the round. So.
Yeah. Just if anybody was really worried, let me stop sharing that screen. That was what the top 10 came out as. Belmo, Bill, EJ, Simo, Prather, Jesper, Troop, and Rash. Yeah. So that was, yeah.
Well, and that's kind of where things at. Early predictions.
I mean, let's quickly.
Over Duke.
I'll put it back up. I'll get the right one. Yeah. So I think I'm going to take Frankie. I think I like Frankie in that one. No doubt, Norm will probably win the whole thing now, but I like Frankie in that one.
That really is for a 924. It's supposed to be the longest odds. It's legitimately the tightest, probably, of all the matches. It's really a too tough to call in a 1-game match.
Yeah, 4 U.S. Opens between them.
Yeah,
pretty sweet. Then you've got D-Tang against Pate. That's closer to 4 shows between them. I know Darren's made more than that. I'm just being facetious, but amazing that could be the 10v23 after the 9v24 match. It's like almost the polar opposite. I feel like that Darren's been, obviously he's bowled great. He's 10th in points. I just feel like Nick really, surprise is the wrong word, but Nick looked really loose when he was on TV in Indianapolis, and he threw really good shots in the PBA League. And I just feel like Darren's on a run at the minute where like bad things have been happening to him on TV. Like he's a really solid spare shooter, and then he missed 3 spares last night, and it's just weird stuff like that. And it's like I don't know. I think that might be my upset special. I'm going to take Nick Pate in that one.
Okay, I'm going to pick Norm in the first one as an upset.
Yeah,
and I'm going to take Tang in the second one.
Okay, so we're the opposite there.
We're the opposite.
And then Brad against Doherty. I think I'm leaning Doherty. I think the Doherty bowls outside of his 100. I think he bowls pretty good when he's on. I understand that he's had some bad Rob Stone experiences, but yeah, I like Doherty in that match.
He's my teammate, so I'm not going to jinx him. I'm going to go ahead and pick Brad. And
okay. This is good. We're going the exact opposite. That means we're probably both going to be 500.
Or 80-10, 90-10. I don't know, one of the two.
Marshall against Chris. I'm going to take Marshall just because of the experience on TV and the fact that I think that Vi might want to burn that place down.
He did bowl well on the TV pair. Things did not go particularly well in the matches, as he lost all the matches. But I'm going with my teammate here. So it is the Albie pattern, I believe, 39 feet.
Carter
pattern, 39 feet.
The right length.
When they're sport patterns and it's just the distance anyway. So
yeah,
the center is going to outstrip about everything, and we'll see what adjustments lay in store for us now that Sean has some experience with the center. I imagine he has a little better idea of what and where the scoring pace they would like it to be, which I'm assuming is probably a little higher than it's been so far. So I'm going to take Vi there. So you have Marshall, I have Vi. You have Dom and THB.
I'm obviously going to take Dom. I think that Richie will get a shock when the Specto's actually calibrated and his first shot comes up as 317. I think it'll just throw off his equilibrium.
And as a favor to Richie, I'm going to pick Dom as well because he likes it when everybody hates it, thinks the world's against him, and so I'm going to go that way. Smallwood Barnes, I'm picking Smallwood. There's just I have so little chance of ever winning a match ever. I'm just lucky to be there, happy to be there, and
I like you. I'm going with you. I think my logic behind it of picking you is that Smalls is still trying to work through the balls. He just changed ball company, so that's it. That's not an indictment on which one he went to or which one he was at before or whatever. I'm just saying that the transition is always a little strange when you change companies. And in a 1-game match, you kind of want to know, this is my comfort blanket. So,
I love you, Richie. All kidding aside, even though I'm the underdog in the match, I'm going to bet on myself. And
Sherman against AAJJ. I'm going to take AAJJ. I think he's going to carry on the PBA League momentum. I think that he's been bowling excellent since he got back from the break. He bowled fantastic in Longview in the doubles when he bowled with you. He looks aggressive with every shot. Yeah.
I concur.
That's a guy who looks like the break did him a whole heap of good. Like,
yeah. He had some time, had some reflection, got settled. He looks pretty comfortable. He has a thing that he likes, he has a TV energy that he feels like, it looks like he's comfortable playing at that energy on TV. And so that's part of the deal, is finding out where you have to lie to handle all the chaos of TV and still play at your best. And he's throwing pretty good shots right now on the shows. And so I think the league, those extra matches on TV are going to serve him well. And they put him at anchor at the end, and he performed well there too. So.
And then Tommy against Jacob. Man, that's going to be a shit show. Whoa. That honestly, that game could be any score. Because if you were to pick two guys who were really good bowlers who looked the most uncomfortable at the PBA League to bowl each other, it would have been those two. Tommy looked, I don't know. Tommy looked like he was really struggling with getting the ball off his hand. Jacob, when he bowled on the TV pair, his ball doesn't look like it wants to do the right thing. I don't know whether it's a left-right thing or just what it is. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. I think maybe Tommy, because I think maybe he'll find a key talking to Baker or whoever he talks to key in on, to eradicate that. And I think that he's more comfortable bowling bad on TV than Jacob is. Like not like just he's got more experience on TV, and when it goes wrong, he kind of knows the things he can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my boy too. TJ's. I think if they make, depending on how the adjustments go, if they get it to hook off the left gutter, obviously all bets are out the window. But I'm gonna go with TJ. So we disagreed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 the same and 4 different. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit of fun.
We'll check in next week. I'll keep notes on it. We'll see who won what, and maybe we'll do a break-in show somewhere along the way. Maybe we'll do a whole bracket next. And
yeah, we've got to be a little careful because I think there's going to be some live shows and some non-live shows, so we've got to really navigate that.
Well, if we do it Thursday, it'll be before the shows.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have the official bracket up and we'll know exactly what's what. And I'm assuming that what you got is the official thing.
Yeah, barring any last minute clerical errors, it's possible that basically it seems like the only one that's up in play is Tang and Miller if those points are correct for sure.
Yeah, because
so
like
we'll
I said,
get confirmation on that, but
they had Jacob's points exactly the same on the show as they've got on your list, and then because they said that they had the minimum, so I was really surprised when I saw that Tang ended up getting around Brad, just because of that. So
right, and it could be just the graphic that they put up the wrong graphic. So we'll find out for sure on that. Thursday we can maybe we'll do a bracket show and kind of get an idea a little bit further along, and we have some Weber Cup previews coming up, as that is only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I'm excited. I get 2 weeks of practice. Don't have to be distracted by those matches in the PBA League, PBA playoffs. I can be singularly focused.
I like that. We all have we have a 5,000. We have an expensive COVID test coming up that we
Yeah.
need to have. So
Just quickly, I guess we didn't really mention the PBA playoffs is the top 8 get a bye. The other 16 play each other. It's a 1-game match on TV. Yeah, they just get on the lane. I believe that they're going to reel the lane every game. From what I was told, it's going to be fresh every match. So that brings together its own interesting perspectives, especially if they're going to do like 12 matches in a day or something like that.
And those quick turnarounds on the strip and runs, you get some really tight versions of that where it doesn't settle as much, and some other. So match to match, they can really be small differences. End up playing much different on the fresh.
I mean, when your ball only hooks about 6 inches total, pretty much everybody. I mean, it looks like it hooks way more.
Yeah.
But, on a 39-foot pattern, you're supposed to be getting it to about 8. So it's hooking 9 inches total from 8 to the pocket. It doesn't take much for it to be a 210 rather than, I mean, it looks like you miss by miles when you're 210. And then when you actually look at the lane from the top,
travel far.
Real quick, did you see the Strike Track 3D?
I did not.
That thing is cool. I like it. They do like a interactive graphic where they put you on the lane and they show the ball go down the lane in front of you.
That is cool.
Like they build the graphic and they can show like the 2 shots and how they went down the lane differently, and they can like move to any side of the lane and stuff. It's very cool.
So dates of the playoffs, practice is Friday. The matches will start on Saturday. I believe a couple of the first matches will be live, and then after that, everything will be taped and spread out. And real quick before we get to the closer, Trey Autry, we're thinking about you, buddy. Big fan of Trey and his tournament at Longview, and recent surgery. So hang in there.
Justin Ledwig sent us some stars, Chris. So thanks for that. My wife, being as she is Longhorn country, said, but OU still sucks. Hook 'em. I was in the bowling center on Saturday, not bowling very well. 2 Sooner fans were yelling quite loud because the Longhorns were breaking our hearts once again, of everybody in Austin. And I go, man, Oklahoma must really suck this year if you guys are that excited about a Longhorns loss. I guess I was right, because then they lost as well.
Yeah. And maybe one of the most accurate quote message of the day. I think we have the best fans in bowling. You guys are what makes this thing great. Appreciate all the comments, especially here to Phil Doubtright, a.k.a. Richie Allen, a.k.a. Dick Allen, for chiming in today and providing entertainment to basically the bowling world for the last 2 or 3 days.
Just my wife wants us to make sure, did you miss me? Not him, the board.
Yeah. We didn't really. You can't see mine. I couldn't find the darker markers, but I did have a shout out to Karsten Hansen of Bop fame.
I guess that was the DJ. I guess that was nothing to do with Carson, because I wrote, "Congrats, Carson, Bop, seriously," and Lucas told me that it was the DJ trying to be clever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see the play. Carson doesn't strike me as an Bop guy, but. So anyway, again, thanks for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday, 10 a.m. Central. Once again, you see our sponsors scrolling across the bottom there. Support them when you get a chance. I believe Storm Roto has some new introductions out now or coming soon.
No, I believe they're out now. October 9th. The Storm Balls, they are the fast pitch. There you go. It wasn't my song.
If I knew you were to work, Carson, we'd have had you on. You were the man.
Yeah, it's the fast pitch, and it was the Axiom Pearl. So, yeah.
And the Axiom Pearl, I've seen that go down the lane a couple times. We saw BJ throwing it on the show just last night. So,
yes, just in the way that a train wreck is interesting to watch, watching two terrible teams play each other is quite enthralling. Maybe we'll see you on Saturday because we're going to be. My wife is going to be down in San Antonio bowling, so I guess you probably will be too.
there we go. Congratulations again, Karsten. Appreciate you joining the show. Great to see your first TV win and your second title overall. And I do, like some people said in here earlier, if you weren't in here earlier, a lot of people like to see you on tour more often. So, particularly the under 30 female graphic. So.
All right.
See you Thursday.
Take it easy.
All businesses help keep those bowling centers alive, and we'll see you next time. God bless.